Alright, how are you guys doing today? Welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to be covering ETFs and basically the best ETFs currently that you guys can purchase. We're going to be going through about 3 of them and like basically we're going to be going through diversified ETFs. So some of them that are like the S&P 500 and some of them if you guys just don't want to put all your money there. And then some ETFs that are one of the best ones for growth and specifically ones that are managed really well that have decent expense ratios as well. So we're going to be going through all of that. Now, right before we jump into it, if you haven't already, make sure to sign up for Webull. I'll have link down in my description. Basically, if you sign up for Webull, you get 2 free stocks. And all you have to do is sign up for the brokerage and then literally just deposit $100. And for that, you can get 2 free stocks worth up to $1,400. So make sure to do that in a link down in my description. I use Webull myself and it's actually really good brokerage. So make sure to do so if you haven't already. So obviously right here we have the SPY. Now this is the #1 most popular ETF, right? It basically just tracks the S&P 500, but the reason why this isn't the best ETF is because of their expense ratio. They have an expense ratio of 0.04, which that's really low. Now that is low, don't get me wrong, but it's twice as high as the other ones that a lot of people also use. That's quite not as popular, but it still has decent volume at the end of the day that you guys can buy it and you'll be fine, you know? So the gross expense ratio of SPY is 0.095, but it's double the Vanguard's of 0.04. So the ones I'm going to recommend have 0.04, but the SPY one is almost 0.09%, so it's actually pretty high. So the first one I would recommend right now, right, it's going to be the Fidelity Total Index Fund. Now this is basically S&P 500. Like if you look at the charts, they are very similar, but the only thing with this is a newer ETF, sort of. Right here, this is kind of a newer ETF. It just came out about 2 years ago, but I would only get this if you have Fidelity. If you don't have Fidelity, then you literally cannot buy this anywhere. Now, if you don't have Fidelity, don't open a Fidelity just to buy this, because a 0.04 ETF like the next one I'm going to show you is still pretty low. Like that is really low. We're going to discuss how much that really is with like real money. So yeah, this basically tracks the total stock market. So just like how the SPY would track the S&P 500, let's look at the yearly chart for this. Yearly chart for this, yearly chart for this. Look how similar they are. They're identical. Look, these charts are identical. So basically this is exactly like SPY, except it has 0 expense ratio compared to SPY's expense ratio of about 0.095. So that's why this is the #1 best index fund that I have. Like you literally can't get a better one than this. But if you don't have Fidelity, it's all good. If you don't have it, you can get this, which is VOO. You can buy this on Webull. Literally you can buy this on Webull, you can buy this anywhere, pretty much anywhere, and it's basically the same thing as the other one, but their expense ratio, as we saw before, is 0.04, that's really low, right? That is actually really low. If we look at 0.04, 0.04 of $10,000, it's $4. That's nothing. So if you put 10,000 in the market, you're only going to get charged $4 every year. That is nothing. But if you get charged like 0.00, that's 0. So like don't stress $4. Like don't open up a Fidelity account just for $4, for example, or $10. So it's all good. And okay, so this is the total S&P 500. The next one is just the total stock market in general. So this is more like VXUS, which is the Fidelity one. Basically, if we look at the yearly chart, they're very similar, but the only difference is the total stock market, you get a better oh my god, I can't talk, a better dividend yield. So you get 2% rather than like the 1.5. It's pretty similar. I think this might be even more than 1.3, and this might be a little less than 2 right now if this hasn't updated, which is my guess. But nonetheless, these are both pretty similar. But if you just wanted that extra diversification, you could technically get the whole stock market, which is VTI. So those are the 3 that I would recommend. The next one is another Fidelity one, which is a similar expense ratio, but it's international. So if you want to like diversify even more, you can get the international index fund, which is VXUS. Now, obviously, this doesn't perform as good because obviously the US stock market is the superior stock market in terms of growth historically, right? At least in the last many years. So if we look at the international stock market in the last 5 years, it has barely moved. But the good thing about this is that it dividends 3% because usually international companies have a little more risk to them. So in theory, they do pay out a little more to attract those people. So you do get a decent amount of dividends. So this is strictly if you really want to diversify. So let's say you're about to retire or something, you're getting older, you want to have some of your money safe. Maybe in the US something happens. You want to and the stock market crashes. But the international companies, they're doing fine, right? So that's why you in theory you would have this and maybe a Vanguard bond ETF, which I don't have on this list cuz I don't personally use or buy. But if you just search Vanguard bond ETF, that's just another way to diversify your ETFs if you want to do that. So yeah, these have been like the very safe route ETFs. Historically, they have always gone up. Now these next ETFs are one of the best ETFs for growth and for specifically the tech companies and stuff like that. So the first one is ARKF. So this is basically a fintech innovations ETF. So they hold a lot of like fintech companies, a lot of companies in the technology sector, and especially the cash management sector where they are like billing people and stuff like that. I'll show you everything. So this is basically ARK Invest is their website, right? This is probably one of the best ETF companies just because of how much they have gained in the last 5 years or so. Their CEO is Kathy Woods, I believe, and she is actually a beast in the stock market. So basically, by investing in ARK ETFs, right, you are basically putting your money and letting these people manage it for you in a very cost-effective way. The expense ratio is 0.75, which seems like a lot compared to these other ones, but you have to remember that these are very high growth ETFs. 0.75 of $10,000 is 75. So every year, if you have 10,000 in the market, you'll get $75 taken away. But that's honestly not that much at all. If you get like a 20 or like a 12% return from these ETFs, that's 1,200. So you get like you're getting taken away a little bit of gain from that, right? But it's still there, so that's definitely something to look at and to research yourself. But the thing about this is that they have historically gained a lot. Obviously, they're new, especially this ETF. If we look at RKK, this is their most popular one, right? They have been going around for like 6 years now. In 6 years, they have gained 300%. And they basically 3 years ago they've been holding Tesla stock in this specific ETF, ARKK. It's not the one I recommend right now. In this video, obviously this is probably a pretty good ETF, but I haven't really looked at it too much. But it's by the same company, but they have done crazy things. If we look at like the last year of this, it's gone up 60, 80%, even more than that, 85. So at the end of the day, this 1% of expense ratio is nothing, right? And usually you won't even notice it, especially in these high growth stocks, right? So and it actually, I believe it has a dividend. I believe so. I don't think it shows up here, but if you go on like Robinhood and stuff, it actually does have a dividend yield. Now, the thing with this, okay, this is what I meant to show you. This is the top 10 holdings. So if you buy this, right, ARKF, you're getting these companies. You're getting 12% on Square, which is the leading company of any small business, right? If you're a small business, you're going to have Square using those transactions, using those payments, and they actually own Cash App. So if you know what Cash App is, the app, they basically own that. Mercado, this is like a thing. More like a Spanish type of company. It's an online marketplace. It's an Argentina-based company. I've honestly, this is kind of like a Shopify, Amazon type of thing. I haven't done too much crazy research on this company, but I do know that they're a type of Argentinian-based actual company that they're doing like kind of like eBay and stuff like that. They're an online market, like an online sales type of place, and that takes up about 5.5% of their holdings. So that's not a lot, right? That's only 5%. So maybe if you didn't want to buy the stock usually, you wouldn't do it. But if you look at like their growth is actually pretty crazy. If you look at the max growth, they've been like from 2007 to 2017, they grew 800%. and then from there they grew another 300%. So they've been growing like crazy over the last, like, that is just one. Square has been growing like, all of these have been growing like crazy. Apple is a safe one, so they do have a safe stock in this. Tencent, I would say, is a really safe stock. Tencent is about almost $1 trillion company. It's in the trillions of dollars. So these two companies are really safe. That's 10%. Zillow, I would say, is sort of safe, right? Most people use Zillow to buy houses, or actually research houses. Lending Tree Inc., I believe that's a mortgage, like a new age type of mortgage company, I believe, or a company that funds its people. And the rest, I'm not too sure. Obviously, Pinterest, you guys know what that is. And they hold a lot of stuff like this, right? So this is like very diversified, but in the same time, it's diversified into a lot of companies that have the potential to grow. So like, let's say Lending Tree goes to zero. Like that company grew, but people did not see the potential. You're going to lose 4%. That's not that much. If Square grows 100%, you made a ton more money to let go of this. But because of this, you're paying this expense ratio. The reason you're paying this expense ratio is because this money is actually going to these people managing it. So let's say Zillow does really bad, and it's all like they see people are not using it anymore. Zillow, there's a new app out. There's a new website that doesn't use Zillow. So now they know this. So like Kathy Woods, her team will actually remove Zillow, or they're gonna wait way less, and this way it makes this ETFs really, really good. The next one is ARKW. It's again by ARK Invest, ARKW. Now this ETF is like another one that's been growing like crazy. This is probably one that's a bit better. It basically just focuses on anything that's cloud, anything online, e-commerce, anything mobile technology, and like IoT internet. So and it has the same expense ratio and all of that. So except the number one hold they have is Tesla Inc. Now that's 9% of their weight. So that if you think Tesla will do good, then you might wanna look into this. Square is 8%. Roku is another 7%. Zillow once again, Lending Tree once again, but this time they hold Snapchat, Slack. So they have a lot of different ones, right? If we actually go, this is their full holdings. They own Amazon. 2.5% of it is Amazon. Spotify, and the list goes on. Facebook, Tencent, a lot of these solid companies. So if you think in general these solid companies are going to go up, and these are always changing, always keep that in mind, especially these small ones, Morgan Stanley, Nintendo, stuff like that. These companies are always changing, right? So if a company isn't doing as well, they'll change it, or they think a company will do better, they'll change it. So like PayPal, stuff like that, they're actually pretty decent. So these are some very good ETFs that, in my opinion, have the potential to do really well, especially if you believe in their team. The portfolio managers, Kathy Wood, obviously she is like phenomenal in terms of finding the next companies and stuff like that. So if you guys are looking and watching this video for ETFs, most likely you're you don't want to get too involved into buying specific stocks. This is the perfect way to actually buy it and not be too risky, if you know what I mean. Buy it and actually have some diversification, especially if you want to go with the S&P 500. If you want to go a mixture, you want to buy some S&P 500, and then 50% of the money you want to put in this ETF, or 25 in this ETF, 25 in this ETF, and then 50% in S&P 500. If you want to do it that way, that's actually a great way to do it as well. Obviously, it's going to be different. It depends on how you want to specifically invest your money, how old you are, stuff like that has all to do with it. So hopefully this video did help. In my opinion, these are the best ETFs out right now. There's a ton more. There's real estate ETFs, which I didn't cover at all. But in terms of strictly ETFs, FISROX, VOO are the best S&P 500 ETFs. And then the other growth ETFs, I would say currently, are the ARK ETFs. Definitely make sure to check these out if you haven't already. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one.